Hello everyone, this is Dhanashri Patil and in today's video we are going to understand basics of abacus. Okay, so without wasting time, let's begin. As we know, this is our abacus tool, right? And this outer side box, it is called as a outer frame. Okay, so this is the outer frame of abacus tool. Okay, now let's talk about this sleeping line. There is a sleeping line which separates some beads on the upper side and some beads on the lower side, isn't it? So that sleeping line, it is called as a middle bar or answer bar. Okay, now let's talk about these standing line. If we just observe, there are many standing lines are here, and on the basis of that, we consider that abacus tool as a 13 rod abacus, 15 rod abacus, 19 rod abacus. Okay, so this standing line we called it as a rod. Okay, now let's talk about these points. There are some points on this middle bar, or we will consider it as an answer bar. Okay, now these white colored dot, they are called as a pointer. Okay, now if we just observe, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pointers are there. The center pointer is called as a house pointer. Okay, now let's talk about these upper side beads. Okay, if we just observe, the middle bar or answer bar separate these beads into two parts. Okay, these beads are present on the upside and hence it is called as upper bead or heavens bead. Okay, now let's talk about the lower side bead. Obviously, if they are upper bead, then these all are lower bead. Lower beads are also called as earth bead. Okay. Now let's talk about the rod which is present on our house pointer. Okay. So the rod which is present on our house pointer, it is called unit rod or ones rod. Okay. Now it represents single digit number because ones rod means ones place. Okay. Now the rod which is present to the left side of one's rod, it is called tens rod. It present tens place. Okay. And the rod which is present to the left side of tens rod, it is called as 100 rod. Okay. Now let's understand these concept in the different way. Okay, now we learn the first thing, that is outer frame. What exactly the outer frame? So the outer frame is the box in which the beads are fixed. Okay, now the second concept which we learn is a upper bead or heavens bead, right? So the bead which are present to the upper side of answer bar, they are called as upper beads or heavens bead. Now let's talk about how many beads are present on each rod. So we have just observed that abacus tool. So there are only one bead which is present on the every rod on upper side. Okay. Now let's talk about lower beads. They are also called as earth bead. We just learned, right? So the beads which are present to the lower side of answer bar, they are called as a lower bead or earth bead. There are 4 lower bead in each rod. Okay? Now let's talk about the rod. The standing line in which the upper and lower beads are present, they are fixed into that standing line. That standing line is called as a rods. Middle bar or answer bar. What exactly this? So this is a sleeping line or a horizontal line which separate upper beads and lower bead from each other. Okay? It represent answers on a abacus. If some beads are touching to the answer bar, it means it has a specific number. Okay, now let's talk about house pointer. So the white dot which present on the bar means the answer bar, it is called as a pointer. And the pointer which is present on a one's rod is called as a house pointer. Okay. Now let's talk about the next concept, and that is a ones rod. Okay, so the ones rod means a rod on which pointer is a present, that is called as a ones rod. So we just understand the same thing in the house pointer definition, right? Now let's talk about tens rod. The rod which is present to the left side of ones rod is a tens rod. It represents tens place. Okay, and now let's talk about hundred rod. Hundred rod is a rod which is present to the left side of tens rod. Okay. Now let's do this everything on our abacus practically. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Happy learning.